Imagine building the largest airport on Earth with 5 runways, 400 gates, and room for 260 million people, only to realize the future it's built for might never come. Al-Maktum International isn't just an airport, it's a $35 billion bet that Dubai will be the center of the world. But what if that bet is wrong? What happens when smaller, smarter jets make megahubs obsolete? And what happens when an entire nation's economy is riding on a dream that may already be outdated? Here's what's really happening. To understand the gamble, you have to understand the stakes. Dubai International, or DXB, isn't just an airport, it's a symbol. For decades, it was the engine of Dubai's meteoric rise, the physical manifestation of its ambition to be the world's crossroads. In 2024, it handled a record 92.3 million passengers, reaffirming its title as the world's busiest international hub. The aviation sector as a whole accounts for an astonishing 27% of Dubai's entire GDP. Think about that. More than a quarter of the city-state's wealth flows through its airport. So why, at the peak of its power, would Dubai announce its death sentence? The answer is a paradox. DXB is a victim of its own success. It's landlocked, hemmed in by suburbs and highways. It has no more room to grow. Its cargo operations, straining at 2.2 million tons a year, are already at their breaking point. For a city that lives and dies by growth, stagnation is not an option. To let DXB remain the primary hub would be to cap their own economy. This isn't a choice, it's a necessity, but the solution they've chosen isn't an upgrade. It's not an expansion, it's a total high-risk reboot. But here's where it gets crazier. This isn't just about adding more gates, this is about betting the entire kingdom on a vision of the future that might already be outdated. In April 2024, the plan was greenlit, a 128 billion AED project, that's $35 billion to transform a sleepy secondary airport in the middle of the desert into the largest aviation hub on Earth. This is Al-Maktum International DWC. The numbers are staggering. They border on science fiction. This isn't an expansion, it's the creation of an airport city. The plan calls for 5 parallel runways, 400 aircraft gates. The entire complex will be 5 times bigger than DXB, covering 65 square kilometers. The goal? A phased capacity of 150 million passengers within the next decade, with an ultimate, almost unimaginable target: 260 million passengers per year. That's more than double the traffic of the busiest airports today. It eclipses new mega projects like Beijing-Daxing, which cost about $12 billion by comparison. This aerotropolis is located in Dubai South, 45 kilometers from the city center, right next to the Jebel Ali port. The vision is clear: a single, massive, multimodal logistics hub where cargo and passengers can flow seamlessly from ship to rail to air. It's the Expo 2020 site, the new Etihad rail connection, and a future metro line all rolled into one. It is, on paper, a perfect strategic move. Think this $35 billion price tag is the real gamble? Think again. The money is the easy part. Here's the first clue to how this could all go wrong. The most dangerous part of this plan isn't the concrete, it's the clock. The plan dictates that all operations from DXB will transition to DWC, and Emirates, the airline that is Dubai, has announced it will move its entire massive global operation in one go by the year 2034. Let's pause and absorb that. We're talking about the world's largest international airline, hundreds of A380s and 777s, thousands of pilots and crew, a global flight schedule, an IT infrastructure of terrifying complexity. All of it switched off at DXB one night and switched back on at DWC the next morning. This is the Big Bang theory of logistics, and it's wildly, spectacularly risky. A single IT glitch could strand hundreds of thousands of passengers across the globe. A failure in the new baggage system could create a domino effect of chaos that takes weeks to untangle. This isn't just ambitious, it's borderline arrogant. And the timeline: DWC first opened in 2010, primarily for cargo, with a passenger terminal added in 2013. Its current terminal has a capacity of about 26 million passengers but handles just over 1 million annually. The original vision for full operations dates back over a decade, with multiple delays making the project about 15 to 17 years behind initial timelines. Now, they're promising to build the world's most complex airport and execute the world's most complex logistical move in just 10 years. This isn't just a risk, it's a single point of failure for Dubai's entire economy. But even if they could pull off this logistical miracle, there's a more fundamental problem. What if the numbers that justify the $35 billion bet are just a fantasy? A project of this magnitude lives and dies by its projections. The 260 million passenger target assumes sustained growth of about 4 to 5% annually over decades. In the wake of the post-COVID travel boom, a 10 to 11% rebound in 2024 makes that look conservative. But it's not. That rebound was a temporary anomaly, a one-time correction. The true long-term global aviation growth is projected at around 4%. What happens if the real growth is only 2% or 3%? What happens if a global recession hits or another pandemic? That $35 billion price tag is just the start. That's $35 billion financed by debt and global investment, not by oil. Dubai's oil production accounts for less than 1% of its GDP. If those passenger numbers don't show up, the revenue to service that debt vanishes. The airport doesn't just fail to make money, it becomes a financial black hole, draining billions from the state every year just to keep the lights on. You are left with the world's largest, most expensive and quietest ghost town, a $35 billion monument to hubris. Think that's the worst-case scenario. We're just getting started. Here's the paradox that no one in Dubai wants to talk about. The United Arab Emirates has, with great fanfare, committed to a net zero by 2050 target. It's a bold, forward-thinking pledge to decarbonize its economy. And then there's DWC, an airport built for 260 million passengers per year could generate tens of millions of tons of CO2 annually based on average per passenger emissions. That's more than the entire emissions of some European countries, and the operational cost is just as stark. To function in the 45-degree desert heat, this facility will require millions of gallons of water daily, sourced through energy-intensive desalination. How can these two realities coexist? How can a nation claim to be a climate leader while simultaneously building the world's largest carbon-generating megaproject? This is the ultimate paradox. This airport isn't just a gamble on passenger numbers. It's a gamble against the future of climate policy. It's a bet that the world in 2050 will still tolerate this level of emissions, and that is a very, very risky bet to make. But there's one final risk. It's the most dangerous of all because it's a threat that Dubai's money and ambition cannot control. What if they've fundamentally misread the sky itself? The hub-buster revolution, Dubai's entire economic model, its sixth freedom dominance, is built on one idea: the hub and spoke. You fly from London, stop in Dubai, and fly on to Singapore. Dubai is the center, the linchpin. But for the last decade, technology has been systematically destroying that model. The architects of this destruction, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and the Airbus A350. These are the hub busters, long-range, incredibly efficient twin-engine jets that don't need a megahub to be profitable. They can fly routes that were once impossible. London to Perth, direct. New York to Auckland, direct. Why would a passenger choose to stop in the Middle East when they can fly straight to their destination? The trend is undeniable. While Gulf traffic grew about 8 to 10% last year, the point-to-point market is growing faster, and Dubai isn't the only one who sees the map. The competition is fierce, and they're all building. Hamad International in Qatar is expanding. Istanbul has a massive new airport, and Saudi Arabia is pouring hundreds of billions into its own aviation strategy with a new hub in Riyadh. They are all fighting for a shrinking piece of the pie. This is the nightmare scenario. Dubai is spending $35 billion to build the perfect, most efficient, most spectacular version of a model that is already becoming obsolete. They are building the world's greatest medieval fortress in the age of gunpowder. This story was never just about an airport. It's about a city's defining philosophy. For 50 years, Dubai's motto has been, "If you build it, they will come." It worked for skyscrapers, for man-made islands, and for DXB. But this is different. This is a $35 billion bet against the rise of point-to-point travel, against a global push for decarbonization, against a volatile world economy, and against the sheer terrifying logistics of its own plan. If they succeed, if they pull off the Big Bang and the passengers show up, they won't just win aviation for another century. They will have cemented their status as the undisputed crossroads of the world. For millions, the memory of DXB will fade, replaced by a new, impossibly vast monument to human ambition. But if they are wrong, if the numbers are fantasy, if the logistics are too complex, if the world has simply moved on, this gamble won't just backfire. It could be the one that finally grounds Dubai's meteoric rise. Click here to check out another one of our videos.